Ready, go. Aha.
And welcome to session 0. As you can see, everything's working. We're all in there. Let's do unmuting all of the things. Well, that's not the right button. Unmute.
Muting of the people and the places.
Unmuting is happening. Hold on. I'm sure there's a better way to do this. I keep saying it, but I've yet to find it. Oh, that button doesn't work. There we go. I think Kitty's got hers muted by her rather than me. I'm just not certain that if I leave them unmuted, they don't show up while the background music's going on. Anyway, with that weekly, very organised disorganisation, welcome to another session of Session 0. How are you all?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm tired. I think tired is the operative word from the chats we were all having before. Nobody isn't untired. Untired? I think that works.
They are. I want to know what your secret is.
Yeah, if we were cars, we would all definitely be road legal, as we have full tides.
Exactly right. All right, I feel like we should just get straight into it tonight. What do you say?
Let's go for it.
So last time, I believe we left it where it was. I think you were given an interesting invitation to the Battle of the Bards, or at least that's how Formosus took it. It was more, well, look, we don't have much music to play tonight. Over at the end of the road there, they might, they were always playing some music and telling some tales, which, of course, Formosus, I imagine you've taken as, yeah, totally. Oh, I'm going to perform there.
Exactly.
And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong here, you had sort of quasi-decided that you were going to quite literally jump down the rabbit hole that is the Hagnon's invitation to Warren Glen.
Yes.
At least that's what I've planned for. If that's not what you're doing, let's see what happens.
Yeah, I'll do a tin soldier down the hole, just straight in.
Yeah, no, that is what we planned.
Yeah, we're just going to test your improvisation skills.
Absolutely.
Let's go east.
A warning.
A dragon?
Yeah. East. Oh, that's exactly the direction that the thing that you just talked about was. What a coincidence. We'll go west.
Quantum rabbit hole.
We'll go west then. Oh, it's a magic forest. It's there as well. Anyway.
It's fine, don't question it.
That's it. This campaign's not on rails, but there's only one direction that you can travel. It's side-scrolling. Anyway, you are at the Always Tavern, fixing to leave. It is late afternoon. Having spent most of the day shopping.
Mm-hmm.
Tanare, you managed to complete a Ritual of the Balance and find out some learning. It's your first one that you've ever done freelance, as it were. And I believe between you, some tea sets were purchased.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a travel one.
You got a travel tea set? And I think we were on the lookout for some more heading on. Anyway, over to you. How are we going? It's probably just a little bit early. Oh, yeah, that's right. And you got your freebie shield painted. It's all pretty now.
It's covered over. It's painted, but or it's basically been covered in just tanned leather.
Yeah. It's probably not quite time for you to head over, although you've done everything you wanted to for the day, and you're just sort of looking outside, and you're like, sort of like going from one tavern across the road to the other tavern. What's the most appropriate time to do that? Technically, the end of the road's not a tavern, though, and you would all know that. For Moses, you may have conveniently forgotten it because you're looking at having a bit of a performance, but even you sort of know that it's not really a tavern. So you may head over or otherwise at your leisure.
On the map here, where
Yes.
all of our characters are,
Yes.
what are you referring to? What area on the map?
So this here is the
East.
this here is the Always Tavern,
Yes.
and across the road here to the east is the end of the road. So it is literally a couple of 100 feet other side of the road. It's not a
Okay.
trip at all.
Well, Remy will go over if everyone wants to go over, but I'm pretty tired of this place and want to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon we'll have this night as our last hurrah in town, and then get ready to hit the road after checking in on the rabbits tomorrow.
Okay.
All right. So
Or even after we've checked in here, we can check in on the rabbits.
All right.
Just depends on if we all want to
Can't
take
remember
the risk
if there
of
was
something bad happening.
if there was something we could have learned from these guys, because these are like wanderers and info gatherers and stuff.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
they're info brokers essentially.
Yeah. Sort of less organised and clandestine than your Harpers would be in the Faerun universe. A lot more sort of hippie wanderer type people. So it's more of a very, very loose network of travellers who become sage-like. So think of it as a backpackers with a town crier, I suppose. Rick, good call. It's 11 a.m. somewhere. Let's go to the tavern. I'm sure that one thing that is definitely going to be at a hippie old person's backpackers is good ale.
Yeah.
So you sort of walk back out onto the path, and the path's nice and wide, and it's about a 3 or 4 minute walk. As you walk around there, you see the tree that Elfir had trained on that morning. It's a couple of little broken twigs and stuff have got tiny little bandages on it now.
You broke a twig.
Yeah. And you recognise as you come around the corner there, you can see it's partially sort of fenced, very, very old sort of stone pillars with sort of wrought iron on it. And there's a little path that goes up through the middle, and then another one that goes around a sort of alleyway around the back with another entrance into what is very clearly the primary footstep to go in. And as you get up, it's about a 10-foot wide sort of stone plinth, one step up, and a big, big wide, probably 15-foot wide, 20-foot high door opening double-sided. It's closed. The door, that is.
Have a listen. Is there any raucous laughter and lute playing coming from inside?
No raucous laughter. Give me a perception check for listen.
Okay. Perception. 14.
14. It doesn't sound silent. You know when you get that feeling that a house is empty and silent? You don't get that. You can hear a little bit of noise. You couldn't really put your finger on it. It's ambience, perhaps. Maybe a little bit of muffled discussion, but you can't be sure. You weren't, you were sort of distracted by what was going on around, but it doesn't feel that sort of eerie, empty, quiet. So you feel like there's people inside.
But this is the tavern, not someone's house.
This is the end of the road. It's sort of, it's...
Yeah, okay. We own this place. Let's walk in.
You push open the doors, and they're not locked or even latched. So they open. They're heavy because they're freaking huge wooden doors, and they're heavy, but they do give. It actually feels it's one of those ones where it feels good because you have to sort of really push, like
Aragorn.
like Aragorn coming in Return of the King, like that big.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm in. I'm happy. It's that kind of feel. But when you open the door, instead of being in this, solemn hall, you walk in on a probably 60-foot chamber. It goes the length of this area. There's about a 30-foot tapestry, 30-foot by 10-foot tapestry on the ground that looks at first glance like it's a winding, thorny bush on both sides. Out to your right, there are a collection of couches with a little coffee table, and then a really big table with probably maybe 12 or 14 seats at it. and on the left-hand wall, a whole row of what looks like really comfortable couches. But all of that you just see in a glance, because right at the end of the room there's a huge circular raised plinth. It's only raised about a step, and in the middle of it is a bubbling hearth with a sort of cauldron on it, and around it are a bunch of sort of light, low cushions, and then further out some curved sort of wooden benches. And sitting around are maybe a dozen people, mostly in robes. Nobody's particularly loud, a couple talking to one another, sort of lounging around. Nothing formal appears to be happening, but everyone like sort of eventually looks up. Nobody sort of stops. There's not like a honky tonk in the corner that stops when you push in. You see a few people look up, like sort of a nod. Not really the response to an entrance of that type that you would expect, but like not one of surprise. It's like, oh, there's somebody else here. A couple of people look up. But it's not until you're sort of halfway across the floor walking in that anybody even raises to meet you.
Oh my god, this is an opium den. I'll go have a look around and see if there's any hookah pipes or...
Yeah, you notice a few pipes, nothing overly sort of dodgy. You can see that there's sort of a makeshift bar up in the corner, sort of around here. But it's not really like a bar tavern, like at a tavern where you'd hand your money over. There's sort of a sort of weird, sort of turtle-looking guy, big tall individual, sort of leaning on like a side table, really comfy. It's like a stool, but it's really comfy, just sitting there. And in beside them on the other side is about an 8-foot-long cabinet, and you can see sitting on it all manner of different
awesome
drinks.
Remy is a sucker for big city vice.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll see what the others do. But I'm ready to go and line up.
Okay.
It looks like it looks like one of those pay what you think it's worth type of places where you get dal.
I would say that from where you've been brought up along the road there, like when you were a farmer, you've had a little bit to do with with these guys before, so you know sort of what they are. And yeah, it's not that they're actual hippies, it's just that they've chosen a life on the road over anything else. And so the devotees of the Lonely Road, they're pretty chilled when they're not on a mission as such. And so as you walk in, the turtle sort of looks up and slowly moves his hand up and sort of wipes something under his eye. Welcome, newcomer. What brings you to the end?
We're looking left and right for some sort of cue, but to my friends here. But we're looking to while away the evening. We're heading off tomorrow.
Ah, so for you it appears that it's not the end of the road. Can I interest you in a brew?
Can you what? What have you got?
And
You pick.
And he's already handing you a steaming mug of ale. He says, I am Gendar, keeper of the brews here at the end of the road.
I am Remiel, thrower of spikes.
It's an interesting title. I rather like it.
Just made that up, sorry.
Huh? I like it, keeper of spikes. I shall have it written down in the annuals. Titch, did you hear that? And then sort of halfway across the room, you see this sort of large individual, completely hooded, sort of half reclined on a couch. And they sort of sit up and what? Oh, yes. And you see the hand just swirl under the robe, and a feathered quill comes up and a big roll of parchment starts scratching away. Thrower of spikes, you say?
Yes.
Consider it noted.
And we are the Red Hands. Formosus?
Dancing lights. Trying to make a spectacle.
Thaumaturgy.
Yeah. Can we sort of fan out and walk in?
Face palm.
Is it like, can we have like glitter bomb as my thaumaturgy effect?
Okay. Everybody give me a performance check. It's not just It's not just a high roll here; it's how close you all roll to each other.
Performance.
To make it all match together, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, cool.
Are we going to try and walk in slow motion? Do do do. No.
Oh yeah.
Like he notices that like he's kind of gone in, he's wondered where everyone is, he's gone where the red hands, and me and Tenari were listening at the door, and we've used that as our opportunity to just burst in and go poof, dancing lights, thaumaturgy,
Ooh.
face palm,
Toss your hair.
slow motion as we're walking in. Oh god.
I trip over the glitter.
I just got a 12 on mine.
Wow. So that first one, the 14, was not right.
Mine
That was the perception from
that was
before.
perception.
Oh, that was your perception from before. Okay, so Remy, you say that you're the red hands, and you give the signal, but you don't give it clearly enough. Formosus is ready though, and the dancing lights come up perfectly on cue, and you think Formosus, oh, this is great, it's gonna work.
This is my moment.
Althea sort of looks over and glowers and sort of folds her arms and sort of looks over at everyone, which is exactly what you were expected to do. It was done beautifully, and Formosus is like, yeah, Dark Pretty one! You're so excited, Formosus.
And honestly,
perfect.
Althea's like refusing to admit that she's kind of enjoying it a little bit. Like she's refusing to admit that she kind of likes the spectacle.
And Gendar sort of looks up, folds the arms slowly, sort of leans back, starts to nod, and goes to say something, and just as they go to say something, Tanar goes, and your time is completely missed, and just sort of sharks in, and sort of Gendar sort of visibly shakes and goes, a work in progress.
I'm new to this sort of thing.
That was quite well, everybody. Well done. We just need to work on our rhythm.
Yeah. Timing.
That will come.
Hey,
So
every road has two ends, you gotta start at one of them.
Are you all bards?
No.
And you sort of,
Maybe.
you're not sure whether they're joking or not, but they are.
Yeah.
It's pretty
They're
awesome.
patronizing us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, not unkindly, just it's a little bit rubbish.
Laughing with.
Look,
Laughing with.
it was definitely ambitious. They
It's
say.
going to
in
be
the
a
end.
band of bards called the Treble Makers.
I do like that one.
Yeah, that's good.
Tetch,
We
write
went with
that.
red hands.
Write that one down.
Yeah, we need to make sure we get a good base of operations though.
Write that one in the other book. Tetch.
Treble Makers.
Yeah.
Because we could pull off a group of bards, I'm sure. You don't have to be a good one.
Multi class.
Just a bard is a performer of. It doesn't necessarily mean song.
Yeah.
This
Just
is
confidence carries you through in karaoke. You don't have to sing on key, just...
Exactly.
I once played
right.
a campaign with not my character, but one of our players had a stripper, and that was her bard.
Amazing.
Perfect.
I remember
I
that.
love
It was a troll. It was a troll
Troll stripper. That's perfect.
with the highest charisma I've ever seen.
Nice.
It was funny.
Genda says, "Look, it's definitely enough for you all to have a cool drink, should you wish. Ale, or help yourself." And you notice fairly quickly that if it's not ale, Genda's not as fast to pour it. There's a reason that they're called Keeper of the Brews, not Keeper of the Alcohol. Because if it's not brewed, it's not Genda's favourite.
And they keep it.
Tea's brewed.
I have been told that this is a place where one may battle bards. Is that true?
Sort of look of confusion.
In verbal performance combat, as the dancing lights kind of come to a stop and fizz out.
Well, we've been known to tell a story or two, sometimes in song.
Well then, you are all blessed with having the most enchanted storyteller. Trying to get that accent back. Enchanted
Ooh.
performer, storyteller in all of Sedendria.
It's true, you know.
Oh, well, in that case, pleasure to make
He
your
definitely-
acquaintance.
He is.
Tanara
he
is like definitely your like hype man. He's so good,
She got my back. She knows.
but she actually believes it.
I go up
Hey,
to them and just whisper.
You're
Look,
you're the only bard
he-
she's seen.
Yeah, I just walk up and whisper, just like, look, he is telling the truth. He 100% believes it.
He can sing really loud.
Take that how you will.
Yeah.
Any story, if sung with gusto, is a good story. Be welcome at the end, at the hearth at the end of the road.
Yeah.
And Gendar takes a big pull on their drink and sort of looks over across the room, sort of nods at Tetch, and you hear the little quill start scratching again. You can see the figure sort of just relax and recline back into the couch. They're not the only two in the room by any means, but the only two who've actually actively engaged you at this stage. It's not that no one's paying attention or listening, it's just that you're talking to someone. It doesn't feel like anyone's in too much of a hurry. It is the end of the road after all. And you look around and you notice that it's definitely not the haunt of a young crowd. Probably of the 8 or 9 people you see, 5 or 6 of them, 6 or 7 of them appear definitely older. Maybe even oldest. In fact,
Tough crowd.
right at the back of that circled area at the far end of the chamber, you see one particularly grizzled, particularly old individual. They're sitting not on one of the curved bench, but on a much more comfortable, larger chair to the side of it. There's a little stool with a nicely knitted sort of fabric on the top of it with fluff in it. You notice it's actually sort of white with little yellow circles on it and the look of a little toadstool with their feet up on it. A large sort of crocheted blanket sitting there, absolutely still, chest moving up ever so slightly. No movement. But aside from that, everybody is awake and animated.
They're going to be way more animated in a second once I set up and start blowing their old minds.
Old
I do go up. Yeah, I do ask a question to the one who we're talking to, though. It's just like, while we're here, before we get to the stories, have you ever heard of people suddenly sprouting giant black feathered wings from their backs?
Oh,
That's a story I'd like to hear. Not something
Yeah,
I've
it's
not something
it's
I've
one-
seen personally, but my path was that of glasses and kegs and the like. Perhaps the keeper of the tale, and sort of inclines over at the still individual over the other side, may have better knowledge of that. They are, after all, the most senior of us.
Yeah. And have you ever seen anything like this? And the mask appears. Mask disappears.
Nice construction. Easily concealable. Interesting. You can just make it...
So far it's a recent development and I don't know what it is.
You'll want to ask Tena when they come out. They shouldn't be far away. Or perhaps even Denno. She's the one sitting over on the poof on the other side there, and you look over to where Gendar sort of gestures. It's hard with Gendar because they've got opposable thumbs and everything, but it's very stumpy. So if they're pointing, it's a general area, and you see sitting on this little puff, hardly poking out the top of it, a little halfling, just like very much. So sitting there with a pipe almost as long as them. What looks like a really large tankard beside them, just cross-legged, super alfear.
Thank you. And for the record, seems as you seem to take them. Alfear, also sometimes known as the Pale Ghost.
Literally, as soon as you say "for the record," you hear this, and literally the little quill's up in the air again, and as you say it, it comes down almost as you say it. And then as soon as you finish, it just sort of lays down inert on the couch beside.
Hey, I feel like
Titch.
we're probably going to have a few interesting tales coming up in our future, so may as well get the record going.
Absolutely. Well, please be at comfort at the end of the road, and as is always the case, there'll be some answers and there'll be some questions, and there'll definitely be some stories. Sort of nod, take a quick look.
Answers rarely come without them.
And you notice that they sort of look over, check your drinks. They're all still full enough, and just sort of leans back in sort of comfort. Doesn't finish the conversation, but finishes actively partaking in it, I suppose. Ramshines to be playing at the bar. An absolutely chilled vibe, but just like... Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Alfea just holds on to her drink out of politeness. She doesn't actually drink.
It was noticed, but not judged.
Yeah, holds on to the drink out of politeness for the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. You're sort of left to your own devices. It's strange. It's not like any other establishment you've been to where you get set to a table. You get the feeling that when you're here, if you've been granted admission, which it suddenly feels like you have, that the quarters are yours to use as you please. As I said, apart from Gendar and the Keeper, or what you assume is the Keeper, and Titch, there are probably, about 11 or 12 others just sitting around the area. You notice, obviously, the ones that have been pointed out to you. Alfea, you've seen the halfling there. There's a couple of dwarves sitting further back on the table, sort of beside where you came in. Appears to be a gnome sitting on one of the puffs, and a human sitting back on one of the one of the curves there, and at their feet, what appears to be an incredibly aged panther.
Can
That at least deserves an introduction.
I make eye contact and be like, to see if it, like, with the person, to be like, can I approach? I can hesitate and want to, like, screech it.
The panther sort of looks up and opens its eyes sort of one at a time. And it's got one normal black eye and one bright emerald green eye.
I
And
have
sort of
jerky.
turns its head and just puts its head back down on the ground, and the what appears to be the owner sort of looks up and sort of offers a seat basically next to them.
Guys! I've never seen a creature like this.
It's panther.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on an island that has goats, like, and sheep.
You see the
Lots of fish.
You see the panther sort of raise an ear at goats and another one at sheep and sort of look up, and Answer just gives a tiny little hand signal and it's like goes back sort of to
Beautiful.
finish sleep.
What is what's their name?
There's a pause and a little sigh. Purloin.
Do I talk to you or the panther directly?
Suit yourself. She
I
doesn't
don't know
usually
the etiquette. I've never met one before.
doesn't usually respond. Stay off the ear, and you see its right ear is sort of haggard down and it's been chewed. It says, "Yeah, Stay off the right
Can I
ear there.
cast Cure Wounds on it? I just learned to heal.
It's you look at it. It's not a new
Or
wound
is it
by
old?
any stretch of the
Yeah.
imagination. It doesn't look like it's
Like
been there for a long
cauliflower
time.
ear.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And you look at it, and
Pretty.
you can see that it would have been jet black at one stage, but as you go to touch it, you notice that there are grey hairs sort of way through it. It's sort of a salt and pepper looking panther at this stage.
The grey snout.
Absolutely.
Can I give it some of my rations? I have jerky.
It peps up when you do that.
Does he eat this?
And literally before you even bring that question, as soon as it's out, it sort of sits up and just with its mouth
I've
just
got like a
gently
little
grabs
kibble
it.
bag. You know, like
Yeah.
like when you do dog training, you have those little kibble bags.
Yeah. The second
Like
it comes out, there's a big paw on your hand, and it moves it down and just nips it out. Doesn't touch your hand with its mouth at all. Just, and it's sort of one eye closed. You can see it's very happy. Just nom, 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 nom.
I won't scratch your ears, but can I just? Oh no, it's okay.
It'll let you do anything it wants now. Trust me. It just holds up a tankard. I'm Ansa.
Formosus, did you see that?
Yes, that is a very nice kitty.
And Ansa just sort of introduces and then just sort of sits there drinking.
Oh, I'm Tanare. Sorry, I forget to introduce myself sometimes.
It's alright. She often elicits that response. What brings you to the end of the road?
Oh, just, fun, I suppose. We're about to head out and thought, you know, my friends and I needed some downtime, some relaxing. We've had a bit of an intense, last couple days, weeks. I've lost track.
She leans forward
We could do with a break.
she leans forward and says, "Go on. Tell us about it. I mean, that's what this place is for."
Oh, I don't want to tread on any toes. Perhaps Formosus has already written some epic tale that is part of his performance. I'm not a storyteller.
Every tale is different in the telling. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
That's
are the
okay. I'm
others-
still tuning you. You can go ahead. It is fine.
The panther sort of puts his heads up and sort of winces a little.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know how much to tell this guy. What are the other guys near me, or are they doing their own thing?
There's a gnome sitting sort of just 3 or 4 feet in front of you on a poof, not sort of just turning around watching, but obviously listening. And it feels like that place. Everyone's just there listening. So if you were to tell a bit of a story there, it'd be heard by a couple, and as it goes on, if it's interesting, you'd expect a few more might come around, but it's more a
I did the warm-up act.
yeah, it's more just an open place. And you can see sort of this raised circly bit is that kind of place. It's purpose built for sitting around a fire and talking trash.
Like the back room at the Moon.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
100%.
Yeah. For those who aren't from Perth, they will have no idea. But the rest of us are like,
That's it. It's good reason.
Sorry,
to come.
I completely dropped out there for a second.
Yeah, we all got all our noses disappeared, and you could only see our necks. So I thought somebody had dropped out. But yeah, no, absolutely. Like, if somebody asks you, you tell a story. It either becomes a story or it's just a story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
can I tell, like, instead, just like, like really obscure old school, like, mythology type, like, folklore stories, but like not one that's necessarily really common to this area, and just try to like tell a tale about this wandering hero of
I mean, you probably have a
past.
you probably have a few stories that were told to you by people who you helped rebalance.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I've totally, like, I have a huge cultural database in my head, like a variety, but it's just not a personal lived experience. It's all through knowing people and their stories. I mean, people's stories is my entire life, really.
Okay.
And also, I have the balance of people and what's important to them, so they draw on their own past and their own cultures and tell those stories. And I sort of rework that into the balance and the idea of Fashia and what I see as the I guess the final philosophy.
So what story do you tell then?
Oof.
I'd say not to put you on the spot, but it's the opposite of that. I'm totally putting you on the spot.
Yeah, okay. So are you familiar with any of the Ivan stories from Slavic myths?
Some of them, not very at all.
Okay. So the one that actually, so there's one about like Ivan loses his wife. She gets kidnapped. But anyway, I often get there's 3 stories I get mixed up, but it doesn't really matter. There's this tale of this heroic guy who a spell is cast on him, so he actually forgets about his life and his wife. And so he's actually not coming back for her until I think it's like a year later or something. But yeah, so just this story that seems like
do know that story, yes. Real. Yes, I know that story. I can't remember what it's called.
There's a few
it's something the Deathless.
Oh, it's Koshi the Deathless.
Koshi,
but it's also Koshi.
Yeah.
But there's also there's 3 different ones. I get them mixed up because I love all 3. Anyway, It's not important right now. But yeah,
well,
so there's
like,
basically, for those who don't know, it's like the dark Slavic folklore version of the Ice King from Adventure Time, who has a thing for kidnapping women and making them their wife, but it's kind of really sad as well because it's dark, so he's definitely a bad guy. But there's this element of like, please don't leave me. And like, he's like this immortal being. Anyway, so I tell this story about the 3 different lives intertwined and how from each perspective, everyone has their own justification, reason, and ultimate, I guess, interpretation of events, and they kind of weave together in this, like, I imagine some kind of knotted braid, and in the end, the balance is remained. They still all come together, even though they're individuals. Those threads come together, and just something about I guess tying it back to the idea of not judging people too harshly by their past if in their present they are trying to be better. Well, at least not too harshly, like, obviously there's a line.
So Ainsa sits there quietly, and you notice a couple of times she gives Purloin, and you could tell that she wasn't comfortable saying Purloin out loud. It was obviously like a nickname that's just sort of caught on. And she sort of nods a few times, closes her eyes, and at the end she smiles and says, "Interesting. I haven't heard it told that way before. I like you, Tanari." And
I like you too.
She smiles and nods, has another sip, but doesn't say much else. You can feel that she's just contented. You've shared a story. She knows that it's not, strictly speaking, a true story of your adventures, but that's, you correctly.
It's my interpretation of truth.
Yeah, and
and story. So it's an ultimate truth kind of thing, rather than an actual event. It's more, I my whole world has been that. Like, it's been this kind of thing. So to me, this is my way of experiencing life. This is my past. So it is a truth in that sense. It's just not a retelling of a direct event that I did or participated in.
Yeah, and so it sort of leaves you sort of hanging after saying she likes you, and takes a big pull of a drink, and you just starting to feel a bit uncomfortable. Like, should I go now? Like,
yeah, I'm always like that. So.
and she sort of cocks her head to the side and said, "So what led you to leave the flock, child?"
Oh. That's a much harder story for a much darker day. I get up and
Yeah.
not abruptly, not like too rude. I acknowledge I still do the politeness, but I sort of make a point of, I guess, going, "Oh, Formosus, are you tuned up yet? Do you need help with anything?"
As you stand
helping him
up,
prepare kind of thing.
As you stand up, you hear her say, and sort of it seems like to the cat, but it's not, it's to you. "Even in silence, do we learn new tales?" And it's not an admonishment at all, the same thing. It's just complete nonchalance. But, you get that barb of, "Oh, yeah, she saw through that."
Oh,
Yeah,
100%.
so your
yeah.
non-answer was an answer.
Yeah, like wasn't even, like, as a player, wasn't even trying to really disguise it too much.
That's it. And like, if you look back, she's just there giving the panther a nice little stroke, sort of with her leg.
I'm like the roadie for Formosus now, though. I'm like, making sure cables are not like.
You sure that's tuned?
checking it.
I'll just tune it again for you.
Check. 1, 2, check.
All right, time to cause some heart attacks and blow some
And I
old
like-
minds.
Yeah, and I like grab him, like, not by the horns because that's a little bit weirdly sexual, but
Are you ready? He's like, can you stop, please?
I stroke them. No.
Some call them horns, others call them handles.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, wasn't gonna say it.
Dora, you can always rely on me.
Oh shit.
Point is, I cast guidance before he does his performance.
Excellent.
Give him a little, like, pep talk, like, "You got this. You are the best. Who are you? You're Formosus."
Everyone else around is in the whole place is there. Just a couple of people are watching this sort of going on in the corner. They're sipping drinks or pulling from a pipe. Where are you?
Do you want lights?
Yeah.
Shall I?
Okay, so I can do the lights. You do the ambience.
Oh, I could do like a weird mist fog machine type thing. That'd be
Exactly.
cool. See, like,
Beautiful.
this
That.
vibe of this place, you know?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Cool. Okay.
Again, I think
This is all whispered,
go
but
in.
like stage whisper.
I will go in a little bit softer. Hey, I want to lull these old fellows into that full sense of security before I punch them in the face with my fabulousness.
Would you both roll me a performance check for your pre-performance, please?
All right. I'm terrible at performing, but do it.
Oof. Not great, not terrible.
Yeah.
What was yours, Formosus?
Mine was.
It didn't come through.
It was only a 17 on D&D Beyond. I don't know why it's not rolling to.
With the guidance?
Oh, with the
Plus guidance, yes.
Yeah. Oh, but is this the actual performance or the pre-performance?
This is the
'Cause you might have to
pre-performance. That's alright, guidance you can use for X long, can't
Yeah, I
you?
can guide him again though. It is like
it's a cantrip.
Yeah.
cantrip. I can
So it'll be
spam it every
a
time you have
dirty
a
20.
Dirty 20s, 28. Titch and Gendar sort of just stay where they are, but a few of the others around the room seem to, as you've set up, have come closer, and there's a few more people sitting around in the circle now. So you've generated a little bit of interest. Professional interest, of course. These aren't groupies. But
Not yet.
But these octogenarians are passingly interested in what you have to say, and you do, with those two roles, get the impression that you're not going to be playing one of your funkier numbers. You're probably going to go for something a little bit more story-based for this audience.
So unfortunately, as I am not musically inclined, I cannot sing for you all. But basically, to plant the idea of the ballad that I will be playing within our collective mind palace that is D&D, I'm going to start off playing that intro bit from Boulevard of Broken Dreams and talk about, the lonely road, it's the only one I've ever known, la 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 la. And then it's slowly going to pick up slightly with interest as I start kind of introducing each of our characters and kind of describe them all by their pseudonyms. So there's the pale ghost with the bloodied knuckles, and then there's
When you get to that bit, I pop the wings and flash that mask.
And yeah, the fog totally builds for when it's heavier bits, and then just kind of.
there's the red hands of Remiel that you see in a flash before the spike
There's a fog.
hits you last.
Everyone.
Exactly. And then
Oh,
Tanare, who helps us all with their final red rests. And as I'm doing that, there's the dancing lights, which the cantrips. And then I would like to blow everyone's minds by trying to then transition into more of a, what's the song? Welcome to the Black Parade. But be welcome to the Red Hands Parade. And it's just a big over-exaggerated nonsense about how we fought crime lords and mind-controlled wizards, and we did a heist in a bank from some fictional city that sounds a lot like somewhere close by.
Yeah. I feel like you're throwing a little bit of the White Stripes in there too.
100%.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, some of that dirty bass.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then
Which isn't bass, weirdly. But anyway.
I was going to compose and write that for you, but there's starting to be too many time signature changes for me.
Exactly. And then to finish it off, I will then do a huge strum, and because this performance I would like to go for 10 minutes if possible. This is going to be a set almost.
Yeah.
And I'm going to burn a bunch of spells. There's going to be dancing lights. I'm going to cast pyrotechnics so that any of the non-magical flames will be fireworks that are shooting around the room and whizzing and hissing in different colors.
Also, Thaumaturgy, I can have, I think it's 3 different effects at once.
Awesome.
So, I like to have the lights just pulsating a little bit, just a little, so that their flickers go to the timing of the song. Yeah.
Okay. So it's basically Aloe Guthrie's Alice's Restaurant in 4-part harmony.
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
I want this to be the best performance that these people will have seen in their lives and will see for whatever time they have left. And they will then tell everyone that I'm the best bard of all time.
You need to give me 5 performance rolls, which I will count up. The second and the fourth. Tanare can roll as well, and you can take the higher.
All right. Roll number 1. We got an 18.
You'll have 1 guidance, I assume.
Yeah, the first guidance I could.
Yes.
The first roll I could guide, but I wouldn't be unless I'm right next to you, just patting you on the back all the time, which is weird.
So the first one will be a 21 with guidance.
21.
Second one is at advantage, but Tanare will roll the second.
Yep. So I'll roll now.
And it's performance for me too, right?
Correct. Yes.
I'm watching that 3D dice on D&D Beyond just go past the B, and I'm like, you tease.
Okay, the third one.
would Tanari have had time to guide herself?
Could have done,
No,
but
I don't.
could have done, but it still
maybe,
won't be as
but-
much as Formosis's. So,
Yeah.
so third one is a 14. Fourth one is at advantages with Tanari as well.
Yeah.
Come on. Oh, there it is.
Oh wow.
So this is when we start getting into like the Welcome to the Black Parade part, I think.
Yeah.
'Cause, you know, Lonely
This is like
Road,
that-
kind of like building up, and everyone's like, okay, where is this going? And then, boom!
It's like the drop, you know, like it's
Yeah,
like-
exactly.
This is getting into the like da-da-la, da-da-la bit.
Yeah.
Cool.
And hopefully Elfir's cracked the door a little bit, so like the sure cascade of musical magic is cascading into the street. But we'll see. And then Lucky Last. Next, we'll take it. 25. Too bad. Not too bad. Oh wait, was it 5 or 4?
That was 5.
Oh, here we go.
That was 5 though. So that for a
Oh
cumulative.
yes, 1, 2. Yeah. Okay.
So for a cumulative total of 105, which essentially means that you got an average of more than 20 for each roll. I didn't really think this right. I can't reach my guitar from here, and I can play all of those songs. Oh well.
Actually, oh, it doesn't matter.
Oh, it's all right. Next time I know there's going to be some actual barding.
When there's a season finale, we'll obviously have to do the
We have to do a performance.
Session
right?
0 soundtrack, and it's just us doing karaoke of all these songs.
That's it.
But like really badly, right?
100%. I wouldn't have gone for the guitar if I thought it was going to be good.
We'll go up to a karaoke bar, we'll get dressed up, and it'll just be so messy.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I am here
Film
for a
ourselves.
karaoke session.
In character.
I've almost got lyrics for one.
Beautiful.
Oh, awesome. Of course you do.
My man.
You would.
My Ghost Rider over here.
But this is your time, and I'm scribbling into my book.
Actually, as you do that, you notice that your scribbles go in tandem, and more through the performance, you see that little quill move more and more and more. And by about the second act, you know, you've changed key about 4 times so far for Moses, and Titch is really sitting forward, and you can see the quill going and going and going. Roll me a perception check, Remy.
And then, once the performance is finished, we then get to use one of my cool little abilities, which is going to be awesome. If it works, we'll see.
As Titch leans forward, you notice a touch of scaled finger poke out. There appears to be a reason why Titch is covering themselves. It's not a big deal. You've heard of Dragonborn before. Titch is,
Oh, right.
Titch is a Dragonborn. They're like, you've heard of them. You've never seen one before. That's sort of like
Okay.
the number of Dragonborn that are known to be around. And sort of explains why they're wearing a complete veil in a what appears to be a fairly non-judgmental environment. But you only paid attention to that for a moment because Formosus literally it sounds like he breaks a string, but then you hear it just slide straight down, and then it just goes ding ding ding
Recovered.
ding 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 ding, and then stops, and everyone sort of leans forward. And then a complete change again, and there's like an octave up and a change across.
Ah,
And by that stage, every single individual in the room, and a couple who've come out of the other rooms and the door to the side, are sitting around rapt in attention. On the plus side, they know who you all are.
Yeah.
On a different side, they know who you all are now. So
exactly what I want. And then, if I can, so, glamorous bard that I am, I can create an enthralling performance, which I shall put into
10 minutes.
the session 0. It's only you only have to perform for a minute, but I want some kind of like Bohemian Rhapsody madness going on for like our first big thing. So that's why I really wanted to like hardcore go into it. So basically, my performance is supercharged with my Fey magics, as we know.
How many can you do?
5 people need to make me wisdom saving throws. I will mainly be trying to charm the people that I think will give me money. So it'll be like the brew guy, the guy that's writing it all down, because obviously I need to make sure he writes it all down properly. And any of the patrons that look particularly better off money-wise.
Interestingly enough, it doesn't appear to be the older folk there, like the people who are from there, that are better off. It appears to be the others. So you, after being there for an hour before you start performing or so, you recognise that there's a bunch of people who call this their long-term home.
Yeah.
And then there's a collection of others who, like you, might be passing through for some reason, or have reasonably recently sort of come here to rest. And it tends to be them that appear to be nicer dressed. You see that the people who are sort of based here now, it's very homely attire, and much more frugal in their number. So Gendar and Titch, I'll put on the list. Do you want me to just choose some others randomly?
Yeah, I trust you. Yeah, it's all good. So this will make them so inspired by the wonderful performance that they are classed as charmed without being like fully charmed. All they do is they just idolize me, speak glowingly of anyone who talks about me. If people try to like hinder the performance, they'll try and like make sure they don't.
Get out of here.
Yeah, just kind of like proper groupie adoring fans kind of business.
They're like the only ones in the circle dancing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. That are truly vibing.
Without spilling the drink.
What's your what's the DC?
That's only 15. He's not super crazy.
Gendar is a fan.
Excellent. And the great thing is, if the target succeeds on the saving throw, the target has no hint that I tried to charm them.
What if they so they don't know, they just don't get charmed.
Yep. So don't get charmed, and there is no hint that I tried to charm them.
This is part of the performance, right?
Because I am Fey and I'm fabulous.
Interesting.
You're famous.
Do you know automatically who, or is it their behaviour?
I assume it's behaviour-wise.
Okay.
Wait, do you pick them, or...
I can. So that's why I picked Barkeep, Gribbles,
I see.
because I want to make sure that he writes a very glowing review in his little scroll.
I see.
Although you're not entirely sure whether it's the whether it's Titch or Titch's pen that does it, but you'll take a risk on that.
That's
So Titch, just for your information, Titch is not affected. And there were 2 randoms who are in there. 3 randoms who are in there who were targeted, 2 who were not affected and 1 who was. And just as the music finishes, you hear a voice in your head.
Oh dear.
Well, you're quite the performer, aren't you? I bid you welcome to the end of the road.
I just assume that's someone talking to me, so I'm just like, it is so good to be here at the end of the road with my new friends. And I just start bowing.
And you see Gendar at the back absolutely whacking their shell like do 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 do. Not fast, just slow, and you can see that they're absolutely beside themselves.
Built-in drum set.
And a number of younger, still old most of them, but younger people are there, sort of. Yeah. One in particular is just staring at you.
I'll do that
Creepy.
whole, like, when they make eye contact for 2 seconds, give them a wink, but then move on, just so they have that brief memory of, like, yeah, I had his attention just for a moment, and they'll treasure that for their entire lives.
Absolutely speechless. Just
But that trick where you're looking actually just kind of between them and over their heads, it could be like any number
Because of all the
them.
lights,
they
they
wave.
see.
Yeah, they wave
Oh,
and
but
then you
it's
walk
like-
straight past
it
to the
makes-
person behind them, and yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, like there's like 4 different people that think you've done it to them because it's just this vague sort of.
I've been involved in that, but I've always been the one who wasn't being waved at. So you know.
Lucky.
But yeah, there's a good number of people that are besotted with you. You hear the voice in your head again. You appear to have a knack of singing much, but saying little. It is a
At this point,
rare skill.
I've like come down and I'm starting to mingle. And again, like I hear the voice, so I assume that it's someone next to me, and I just go, Tanari, that's not Tanari's voice. Groupie. Doesn't seem like the kind of voice that would match. And I kind of like lean over and go, I'm sorry, did you say something about my singing?
And the person who's told you that their name is Cordo has gone, I was just saying, when you got into that third act and you stopped and then you completely changed key again, and I don't even know what the time signature was. It was just amazing. Completely different voice.
Oh, exactly. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Sorry, I must have misheard. There's just so much noise and so much buzz right now. Oh, interesting. Weird. But, you know.
Why?
I like go up to like Formosus like with a fresh like ale kind of like after performance ale kind of thing, like well done.
And exactly
Thank
then,
you,
Thank
thank you. You did so well. I'm so glad. You all performed amazingly. I couldn't quite see, but I'm sure you all did very well.
and exactly then, why are you really here?
Okay, Tanara, if I can just... I am hearing the voice. I don't know who it could be. Could be an old man, could be an old lady. Not too sure. But it's definitely not, and I do like another once over and being like, no. I look to my friend to my right. Definitely not him. And I'm not sure. Is it like, I think it's in my mind, or...
Maybe block your ears and see if you can still hear it.
I am actively looking around to see if there's anyone who's not reacting like anyone else, just because Elfie is still a bit paranoid.
All right, are you sort of within earshot of the two of them?
Probably keeping close.
Okay, so
I do have
She's
have
the
the
pale
wing
ghost. She's
out.
probably shadowy and moving everywhere.
you
Yeah,
can
like from the performance, I still have the wings out and the mask on, but I've just sort of curled the wings.
they only last for a minute, don't
myself a little
they?
bit.
They only last for a minute, don't they?
Yeah, I believe I believe only a minute actually. Yep, 1 minute. So
Yeah,
they've gone away.
so they've been
They
gone.
come out for your spotlight when I'm like the pale ghost and her bloody knuckles. Poof. You get like your
Yeah.
moment, then they go.
Yeah,
But I've still got the mask on because I've
Yeah.
probably just completely forgotten to take it off.
yeah. Roll me a
For,
perception.
just
Yeah.
for just so it's said, just in case, I want when I give Formosus that drink, I imagine like maybe our hands clasped just a little, and I do guidance just in case something's happening.
Yeah, that's all good.
Is
Perception,
that?
perception, please, Althea. Nobody,
That's a big note.
you notice Tanare and Formosus talking, and you see Tanare look around. Then you see Formosus put his fingers in his ears like this, and then like this. And you sort of look around. It's animated, but nobody's looking at you guys. Like, look, a couple of people are looking, but not like. No, there's nobody sitting in a corner, you know, in the shadows or anything like that.
Yeah.
No one reacting differently to anyone else, really.
And you hear it again from Ursus. But really, What brings you to the end of the road so early?
So I'm not going to say it. I'm going to think it. So like things are done, and Terry will see like my eyes are closed. I have to start somewhere. So I figured you start at one end of the road, and then you can make your way through all the others. Well, at least that is what Elfir told me, anyway.
Sorry, what? Who are you talking to?
That seems. It's in.
You
his,
can read my mind too.
yeah, that was in his mind.
Oh, that was in your head. I thought that you were like mumbling it out loud.
How many?
Like you don't know where it's coming from.
How many ales have you had for Moses? Because it's possible.
Yeah, I just assumed like he kind of speaks out his mind all the time anyway, right?
I'd probably mumble it,
Roll me
or at least like mouth it.
an intelligence check for Moses.
We all know that I'm good at these.
It's under.
We all know that I'm good at these.
I was going to say if it's under 10,
There was-
you just in that moment realize that you have no internal. You like for the entire time you've known Tanare, every internal voice you've said, you've actually said, and you suddenly come back to it and just gone, oh. And for like Tanare, for a full 15 seconds, you just see him there, wide-eyed, and for Moses,
Oh
you
my god, everything.
quickly cycle through everything you said inside your head.
I'm so in blue screen mode where I'm just like,
100%. Tanare has heard every single one of those.
He would have had the guidance as well, but I don't.
Still not going to be enough. That would still have only got him to the target number.
Oh yeah, I just realised what he's.
Yeah.
I was on a different screen and didn't see his roll. Yeah, like I've heard him talking in his sleep as well, so.
And
No.
and then as you're just coming around for Moses, you just hear in your head, oh, please stay. Meanwhile, Remy, what are you doing?
I've got 4 lines, and and this Dragonborn. 4 lines of our theme song. I've got the last 4, but on a gathering storm comes a tall, handsome man in a dusty studded leather with a red right hand.
No. Nick Cave.
Yeah. Esk. What's the Stragon gent person doing?
Titch has sort of leaned back again, and you just see the krill next to them sort of just pop up every now and then and flutter and sort of look around and then maybe take a note and then just drop down again. But they're just there. They've had their drink refilled a couple of times and they're just sort of surveying the place.
Okay. I'll overly. Having been getting into the beer here, he's had a couple and is in a happy place, and is overly talkative, so maybe not picking up on any cues. And he'll go over to Titch and sort of plonk himself down. So, hey, my friend, you should walk with pride.
The
Don't
spiky,
hide yourself.
the spiky one. You throw daggers.
Oh, well, yeah. In my spare time, there's other better things in life.
Like what exactly?
Experiencing the world, and I'll lift up my ale.
I'll drink to that. And when they lift their hand, you just see the whole claw. There's no cover at all.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I imagine that creates like a Mexican wave effect, but we don't know where from. So everyone else just starts lifting up their things and drinking. We're just like, yeah, sure, we drink.
So, have you always had claws? Trying to be polite.
What's the opposite of a perform? What's the
Familial trait.
what's the opposite of a performance check? And can you roll that?
Yeah. Oh, they're magnificent. Oh, you look like you're hiding, and I don't think you should.
Well, depending on this person's mood and personality, this may be a survival check.
You
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Survival, animal handling.
with a wave of relief, you
Wisdom
note
saving throw.
the levity on Titch's voice. There's a slight change. Sort of, you can feel the grin rather than see it. It's like, yes, I've always been Claude. How long have you had skin for?
Well, I almost lost it one time when I snuck into the neighbours and stole the best apples. But no, I see what you mean.
He sort of guffaws and goes, I
Get your point.
lost a scale like that once. And you get this feeling suddenly, they're not concerned about it at all.
Oh,
Roll me a perception check.
okay. 16.
Yeah, they're not. You suddenly the penny drops, and you're like, wait a minute, they're not wearing it to hide what they look like. They're wearing it just out of politeness, out of like, you know what, nobody wants to ask these questions, nobody really cares. I'll just wear it.
Oh, okay.
And sort of noticing your sort of pause, they say, I started wearing the robes years ago, and it sort of became a habit. I'm comfortable in them now. And sort of pulls back the hood, and red dragonborn. Sort of all like red on the top, still really, really top, like bright red up here, but you can see around the jaws and around the fingers, you can see it's going orange, which you assume must be the sign of age.
He's trying to hide his awe.
Yeah.
Like, awesome! Wow, a dragonborn!
Holding.
Wicked.
So what's it?
And sort of
So what's it like having
I love how
claws?
Remy is just so excited about everything.
Holds up the claws like with big daggers in them themselves. So what's it like having daggers that aren't attached to you?
oh, check this out, and I'll get one out and put my hand on the table, and I'm going to do the alien thing and say, check this out.
I finger fillet.
Yeah, and start to go faster and faster.
You know that's going to be an acrobatics check.
I have all my fingers. My knife goes chop chop chop.
This is
And if
happening
I
at the
hit
same
with
time,
scissors,
right?
Yeah.
fingers
I
will
know.
come
I'm
off.
looking over my
Chop,
shoulder
chop,
at Tanea.
chop, chop, chop. I'm picking up the
Tanara.
speed, and if I miss the spaces, my hand will start to bleed. Hey,
Okay, so what's your acrobatics check first, Remy?
I'm just before I start, I'm just looking over at Tanara. Is she busy or is she around?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you look over and you see Tanare sort of looking around, and Formosus going,
Right.
So I don't.
and you're
see
just
you
like,
don't-
whatever. Yeah. But you're like,
All
then
right.
you just sort of glance across.
Okay.
if I see this starting, I'll come over with healing ready.
Yeah, no, you're busy looking. You rolled that 5 perception, looking for seeing if
Yeah.
anyone else
It's
is
kind
looking.
of happening at the same time.
You don't
right?
even notice Remy looking, even though he is.
Can I?
Yep, I'll hear the squeal.
Okay. Can I use? It's not quite exactly fitting, but I've got superiority die, and one of my maneuvers is precision. It's not an attack, I know, but
I don't know. It could be.
I will spend it just to try and be precise. Okay, but I'm going to slowly build up so that he,
Okay, so
they think that that's the maximum speed, and then I'll
what does precision do?
it gives you plus D8 to hit. So I
Sure.
don't know whether I'm hitting or, but anyway, I'm going to roll the acrobatics in any case.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, here it comes. All right, so I've got a 12.
And so you're thinking the +8 goes on that?
That's my. I don't know. I'm just, if I can use a superiority dice to try and be more precise. I know it's not. Normally, it's
Roll
used in
me
combat.
it as a D8.
Okay. Here it comes.
Big
Okay.
money.
So that would put it as a 16.
As a 16. Okay. Yeah, so you start slow. And you sort of notice the Dragonborn getting bored. And then you sort of double the speed. And they sort of raise
Yeah.
an eyebrow and you double the speed again. and it's to the point now where a couple of people at the edge of the circle are looking back, going, "Whoa."
Yep. Are you singing the song for it as you go?
No, I'm concentrating.
The number that you roll correlates with how long you can do it before you injure yourself. So now you need to give me a check to see if you decide well enough when to stop.
Oh, I don't. I'm going to keep going till I cut myself.
Okay, you cut the crap out of yourself.
Oh.
But
That always happens.
it's an impressive speed, though. You've held up an impressive speed long enough for the Dragonborn to go, I'll give you that, I can't do that one. But you have, at this stage, a dagger stuck in there.
Yeah.
Like, it's you look at it and your hand is on the table and you're putting on a brave face. But roll me the attack of your dice.
Okay.
+8.
Okay.
Because you used the precision.
Yep. So yeah, because that +4. Well, the precision was trying to not hit myself, but what do you want me to do?
So roll the damage of that dagger as though you'd used it on someone
Yeah.
else.
All right.
Ooh. Ouch.
I'm not taking -5 to hit because I've actually missed anyway.
No, you've already got up to the stage where you're hitting.
Yeah, and I'm not throwing it, so I don't get thrown. I think that's +6. +4. So 3 +4, 7, and plus my 4 from the D8 makes it 11 damage.
So you take 11 damage. So literally when it goes in, you feel wood beneath it.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah, yeah.
Sort of the Dragonborn then looks down and goes, you probably feel that tomorrow.
Oh yeah. I'll try. I'll just try and shake it off, and I will do my what's it called? Second wind.
Yeah. So no great deal there. You're able to. It does bleed a little bit. Luckily, you see the Dragonborn flick a hand, and the parchment sort of moves up and out of spurt range before you pull the dagger out. And then all of a sudden, you see the little quill go whoop, up to where that was, and you hear this and start scratching, and you realise that is now being recorded.
All right.
This is being recorded for insurance purposes.
And Titch sort of watches your eyes and goes, "Don't worry, it won't look bad."
Man, you have to write an incident report now.
Yeah, that's it.
OHS and me are not friends.
Reaches into his satchel and just pulls out another
God.
pile. He's like, "I'm going to need you to sign here, 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 and on page 432."
Okay.
Not really.
Gotta fill out an iris.
That's it.
So I'm gonna sort of suck my thumb and then sort of shake it off. So no harm done, and take another swig. Heals all things.
I have very much enjoyed your curiosity, Red Hand with the Blade. I understand the name now.
Happens a bit.
Was it his right hand?
No, it would be left.
Would have been left. Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. With the red right hand, it's usually someone else's blood.
No, this is an anomaly.
Fair enough.
Sasha, while you were looking around, while you didn't see anyone that was looking, you noticed again the gnome. Now, before they were just sitting on the poof, but right now, very, very animated. Not dancing, not angry, but you can just see, like, really looking around, jumping up and down, and then all of a sudden they just sort of sit down again. Just absolutely still.
I'm gonna come up to them. Hey, that was a pretty sudden change just there. Everything all right?
Yes, all good. Just in case you're wondering, I'm not actually Alfia down here. I'm just when the camera goes off, the square disappears. So I'm sort of we're just out of whack for the minute. So look for where the mouths are moving. Well, seeing as you notice, I like to pump myself up for the performances.
Ah,
I've kept it up long enough, and you notice these bruises on their arm. If I did it anymore, I would have hurt myself. I'm Don Venner.
mind if I take a look at that?
And while you're saying that, they don't hear. They're busy sort of orating. I am Don Venner, Cobbleswap, Dustrain, Jimpleyard.
Come again?
Don Venner, Cobbleswap, Dustrain, Jimpleyard.
Don Venner. Wonderful to meet you. Yeah, well, I'm Althea, also known as the Pale Ghost.
Yes, you are
Really
pale.
hate that. Yeah, and I still actually have the mask on because I've still forgotten to take it off.
Where'd your wings go? I saw you had wings before.
Yeah, that's a new thing. I think it only lasts about a minute. I don't actually know what it is.
Sort of like
It's one of the
raised
reasons why I
eyebrow.
came here.
It's wings.
Thanks.
Yeah, but that only started happening like last night.
What did you do last night? I've had nights like that before.
It's a bit of a rough one.
Can imagine.
Yeah. You know, fought a crime lord, mind controlling wizards.
It was all in the song.
He was too busy forming one of those hardcore punk rock mosh pits.
That's it.
But like, it was just a ring and him bouncing off everyone.
But yeah, and you're getting this.
Yeah.
As people are coming around and talking to you, they're picking up bits of the song. You're adding to the story, and over the course of the next hour or so, you realise that this is just part of the way that this place is set up. That whenever there's a song and a discussion, little bits of the story get told and added to, and some of it's written down, some of it's carried on and collected by the people that are there, and that'll be shared in separate. It sort of all winds together in the fabric of the tale. And Don Venner goes, I think you should tell me more about having wings. And just sort of sits down again in tones that you sit next to them.
You know, I wish I could. It's like I'm sort of hoping to find out more about it. I'm hoping others can tell me about me having wings.
Well, tell me a little bit about what they look like. I only saw them for a moment.
Large and black feathered.
As you
I
start,
got them at the same time as mask.
as you start describing them, and as you're about to flick the mask off, you hear a voice in your head. That mask is a pretty thing. Although, I imagine you're focusing more on the wings at the moment.
I just think back. Well, both I'd like to know about, but the wings seem like they could be better or worse, depending on the cause.
Oh well, they should be fine unless you fly too close to the sun.
Well, they're not made of wax, but I guess 1 minute's a minute.
You've heard that story. I like it. Why are you here?
Well, I'm on the Red Hands, and also trying to find out about this stuff. And I'm trying to keep up the conversation with the...
Yeah,
yeah, at the same time.
absolutely.
But I've got high wisdom. I can do it.
Yeah. And so, Don Venner's there going, and you hear them say, "So, are they heavy?"
Yeah, well, they're heavy enough that the first time they came out, when I woke up this morning, my back was killing me. Also, on that note, mind if I fix up those bruises for you?
Go ahead.
Yep.
You can't stop
Hey,
me.
you want to see it? Hey, you want to see a trick? Try not to flinch on this one, and I punch him with healing. It does not hurt at all, and it completely heals the bruises.
Impel goes "Ah!" and just sort of lunges at you, but before they get there, a dwarf sort of steps between and goes, Impel, sit. And just stands there for a full 6 seconds. And then Impel sits down and goes,
See, it's a reverse punch.
I thought you punched me.
It's a reverse punch.
And the dwarf turns and says, you'll have to forget, Impel. Once a barbarian, always a barbarian. I'm Tanner.
Nice to meet you, Tanner.
You're...
I mean, I can imagine, I can understand being a bit startled, so...
Interesting way to heal. Aelfir, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know your parents?
That's a bit of a sore spot. Not for a very long time.
Tell me, is there anything peculiar about them you remember? And then you hear in your voice, yes, glowing eyes, wings. Eh?
They looked like me. I didn't used to look like this. I figured it was just some condition that ran in my family.
You hear in your voice, maybe. But Tanner says, well, let me tell you a story. And she sits down on the opposite poof on the other side to you. And next to her, you notice there is another dwarf. And he sort of nods and just sort of leans in on her. And she says, when I was a youngling, I hadn't taken to roaming yet. Ours was a small stronghold, not far from Toland's depths. And I was out collecting, farming you would call it. And I saw a creature, humanoid, like a big folk, a human, long white wings and white glowing. I was told it was a celestial, but it couldn't have been. We haven't had outsiders here in an age before I was sired. You exhibit traits of that.
I don't know about celestials. I'm just an elf.
An elf with wings.
Only occasionally, and that's like a day old.
And the other guy goes, aye, and they came out and they were awesome.
But you have no idea. Oh, I'm not there.
And Tanner puts a hand on this dwarf's leg and says, elbow. And then just sort of doesn't say anything else, like, whatever.
What's really awesome is the fact that they actually work and I can legit fly with them. Now that's awesome.
And then you hear in your voice, well, I suppose finding the answer to that'll be a journey, won't it?
Gotta start somewhere. Although if the goal is finding it, it's not really a journey, is it? It's a quest.
All words lead home. Tanare, you hear in your head, just as you're sort of looking around, you're trying to work out. Formosus is still sort of like looking around. He's confused. Well, running looks nice on you, Shepherd. But
Wait, what? What was that?
Running looks
Didn't
nice
quite hear
on
it.
running looks nice on you, Shepard.
Oh. Okay.
But if
I
you,
like scan the room to see if anyone's looking right
and
at me.
for Moses, you're literally going like this now too.
Yeah.
But if you slow down long enough, you might learn something.
I think as a response. Who are you? How do you know me?
Interesting, but not unexpected. It's the shepherd that asked the right question. Call me Dis.
Can we meet in more than just my mind?
I'm right here. And
I
here.
look again for
And here.
anyone looking right at me.
Nobody moving. Roll me a perception check.
Yeah.
In fact, everybody who's had the voice in their head. Actually, before I might pause it there. As you walk away from Titch, Remy,
Yep.
you hear in your head, "Well, that was a good trick. Keep trying."
Shake my head and look around.
I'm incredibly glad to hear that you've left the farm. Follow that.
Show yourself. Show yourself, ghost.
And you said,
I immediately look over. Yo, I'm over here.
and you said, follow that keen interest, Remiel. And it fades as well. Denare, so everybody roll me a perception check. You all have different numbers that you need to reach based on what's been said and how you've responded.
I am incredibly nervous, so I touch my my little pendant that's hidden and tucked under my thing and cast guidance on myself.
21.
6.
And Tanare?
Where is it? Why is it not coming up?
Just tell me what it is. If it doesn't come, sometimes I think it's just being silly. Yeah, so what did you roll? Or did it just not roll? 19, there it is.
18. Oh, and guidance. Give me another.
Yeah.
Hang on. D4, right? Yeah.
Through all of this, Formosus, the only individual in the room that hasn't risen or moved or done anything as the result of your performance was the ancient elf lying on the chair with its feet on the little poof. And you start to suspect that this voice might have something to do with that. Tanare, you, at about the same time, you hear the word dis. And you think, well, it can't be as simple as that, that it must be a nickname or a shortening, and you ask, you think to ask for further elaboration. And Remy, you holler out, and Titch sort of leans forward and goes, "What was that?"
I missed that. What am I actually perceiving?
You I've because of the situation you're in, I've slightly changed what that role was for.
Okay.
And so you've called out and gone, "What is that? Have at you!" And
Yeah.
I'm sort of rolling that along with Titch sort of recognizing something with you because you've just come out of conversation with them.
Yeah.
And Titch goes, "What was that?"
I'll say there's poltergeists.
And you just see
Voices.
this huge, like, Titch has grinned before when you were there, but this time it's just like rows and rows of teeth. His head sort of lets up. It's like, have you met Dis?
That's what he was. Dis.
Discontent.
This
What?
corporal.
And you hear
This
in
corporeal.
What about-
your head, Tanare. No. Disembodied. As in voice.
That makes way more sense.
And you look straight over at Dulrich Arlen, who is
Despair.
sitting there as they could. And very quickly, Titch says, "Look, it happens round here. Blame the dreaming elf."
Oh. Dreaming elf. What's all that about?
And you've all now met Dis, the disembodied voice of the Keeper of the Tale. I imagine this story you get from Titch, Remy. So
Yep.
if you turn around, Titch
Okay.
will tell you this story. Tanare and Formosus, you probably get the picture. So if you go up and inspect, somebody will come and share the tale with you. It'll probably be
Oh, yeah.
Gendar for the two of you.
I would go, Tanari, I think he could be dead. He has not stirred the entire performance before, during, and after. Perhaps we should go check on him.
And as you say that, you both hear in your voices, but like not together, but you both hear, no, not dead, just out to lunch.
And I think there could be a ghost.
Tanare, you know that this is now Dis, hasn't introduced itself to you yet, Formosus, because you haven't asked.
Yeah.
And eventually,
Stealth
Althea. So what was your response? You didn't roll high enough to know what the hell was going on. You just got a voice in your head while you were trying still to talk to Impel or Don or Venna. As people are coming in, because you're sitting there with Albo and Tanner, they seem to cycle through names. Sometimes they'll call her Don. Sometimes they'll call him Venna. Sometimes they'll call him Impel. But they're just like the three interchangeable names that they use instead of Dunvenna, Cobbleswamp, Dust Range, Impelyard.
Fair. I'd probably end up just going like, yeah. Who is this?
Do you say that out loud or in your head?
In my head.
In your head? Wow, you're busy. 3 in a conversation and you're talking to yourself? Call me Dis.
Blame it on concussions.
If you've ever heard a disembodied voice nod knowingly, that's what they do now.
Yeah.
You don't hear it, but you can tell it's happened. At that stage, with that low roll, you just pause for too long, and Don goes, "You still in there?"
Yeah. Apparently there's someone called Dis in my head. I think I've been hitting it a few too many times.
Ah, it's not every night that the keeper of the tale talks to newcomers. You've obviously done well.
Good to know.
And they sort of intones over to the sleeping elf. That's him up back's wandering consciousness. And you all are now regaled essentially with the tale. Delric Arlen has been the keeper of the tale for 50 years or so. And it was about somewhere, depending on the way the story's told you, between 2 and 10 years ago that Delric came in one morning and had an ale and a pull on the pipe and then just had a quick nap. And yeah, like being an elf, as you'll know, not really something they normally need to do, but it's been a while now, and it was after a couple of months where people started to just have a voice pop into their heads, wandering around in the ground sometimes, or just around, just checking in. And after, a few days of panic and some discussions about hauntings, it was realised that Delric's subconscious mind had gone for a bit of a wander. And so this is how you all realise that the leader of the Lonely Road is the disembodied voice and consciousness of an ancient elf named Dalrich Aralum.
During all of this, I just rolled a deception check to see if I could hide the fact that I am slowly getting more and more freaked out. Because, not the best for the supernatural.
The less you hide it, the more Don Venerin is enjoying themselves. And you can see, commensurate to you, losing your shit, Don Venerin is just telling the story with more gusto until Tina leans over and sort of puts a hand down again and looks and says, "You too?" And looks at you and says, "Dalrich Aralum is fine. When you've been an elf for as long as they have, you can do some funky things. It's not really magic, I don't think. It's more elfish? I don't know."
Yep. Still creepy.
Now, you are an elf, aren't you, Elfia?
Well, she thinks she's an elf.
Yeah. So you're elf.
Growing up
Culturally,
until
she's
the
an elf.
until the asthma traits started showing up, she looked and acted for all intents and purposes like an elf.
Yeah.
Obviously,
She's an
not
elf
old
in
enough.
the same-
Yeah,
She's
not
an elf
old
in the
enough.
same way that Formosus is a
Is a fae.
from the Fae. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not old enough to go into a trance or anything. So by elf standards, she would still be considered. Not a child, but not a full adult by their standards because she hasn't had a trance or anything.
Yeah.
Because I believe that's the standard elves go by in D&D for when they are officially declared an adult, when they are able to first fall into a trance and relive past lives.
Yeah.
She hasn't had that. That wouldn't happen for another 50 years for her.
Look, at the age that you were separated from your parents, that knowledge might be a bit sketchy too, in terms of the details on it for you.
Yeah, she doesn't know that, but she knows that if she says that she's an elf, other elves get sketched out if she drinks alcohol and stuff.
Yeah.
So she's just like, you know what, there must be a reason for this. She's probably hadn't explained, but was worried about other things at the time.
Now, during that explanation to all of you, you hear in your head some variation of, do be sure to speak to Remy. For you, it's Titch some more before you go to sleep. Tanare and Formos, it's make sure you ask for directions from Gendar before he gives you too much ale tonight. And Elfia. Of the three of those, perhaps Tenor is the best to help you choose your next steps.
I'll take that under advisement, I guess.
As the conversations go back to what you were doing, Elfia, Tenor does sort of give you as much as they can about what they might be, and the word and that idea. Not they don't use the word Asmar at all, but that idea of some sort of connection to the divine.
Yeah, celestial blooded
Comes
or something
up.
like that.
It comes out through discussion that Tenor is a retired cleric. So quite old. Again, you find it very hard to tell with dwarves and humans and everyone else really, because you were raised as an elf. But yeah, Tenor's quite old. She eventually introduces Elbow as her partner, and Elbow's just every time somebody says his name, he eventually explains that that's why he ended up leaving the fortress and going wandering, because Elbow is just, it's one of those unfortunate names that in the in the dwarven stronghold it was fine, but every time they went out it was different, and you can't change a name as a dwarf. So by wandering, you can obfuscate it at the very least, and that's where Aelbo met Tenor, and they travelled for some time together. Don Venner, Cobbleswap, Dustrange, Impelyard, as you can tell by the name, is a gnome, and a barbarian. And they were more than happy to sink ales for a while with you and share stories of punching shit.
Yeah, Althea order some tea.
And the tea is good. Aged here. Even the most mundane of teas just feels like the aromatics and the tannins come out way faster.
Yeah, so no special tea, but just really, really well brewed.
Yeah, you sit in a jar for 100 years, it does wonderful things to it, stays really dry.
Yeah.
Remy.
Yep.
Titch sort of cocks his head and sort of waits, and it's almost like they're expecting you to then ask the question. Do you ask any question, or do you wait for them to respond?
He doesn't really get it. He's been told to, as a suggestion, to go and talk to Titch some more. So
Yeah.
The voices in my head will seem like a little bit creepy, but might be a good idea. Titch seems okay, so I'll head back over or just strike up a conversation again.
Yeah, so Titch has just talked to you while this is happening and explained what the voice is, and sort of at the next lull in conversation, Titch says, so, did this ask you to talk to anyone? I assume it was me.
It was you.
What did they say?
They said, talk to Titch,
Good start.
which I'm doing anyway, right?
That's usually the way.
So no skin off my nose.
The directions are never particularly difficult. So what is it you plan to do next?
I think we're just going to strike out of town. We met up with some Fae, and I'm basically all my chips are in. So I've been manifesting these sort of powers. When I was coming down for breakfast today, I was really hungry. I was rushing down the stairs, and but I hadn't stretched yet, and I was just creaking my way down. And I just, oh my God, get me the bloody hell to breakfast. And I appeared at the bottom of the stairs. All this sort of mist appeared all around me, swallowed me up, and then I was at the bottom of the stairs.
I have heard that there's been some interesting happenings in the forest just outside of this crossroad lately. So,
Oh, I could tell you, I got caught in a time bubble the other day.
yeah, things like that. So you're planning to investigate that?
Oh, definitely. We're going to get stuck into it.
Sounds good.
Cool magics are
And after that, in which direction do you think your burgeoning party will head?
I think we'll follow the money.
So round in circles then.
No. We're a bit.
Circles.
We're a little bit causeless, really.
Wandering has that effect, but it's all right. It's definitely temporary.
One day we'll come across something that we all collectively give a shit about.
Oh well. Be sure to let one of us know when that happens, if you're not one of us by then.
Yeah. Us? What? Hey, what?
Wait, what?
Is there a club?
You're in the clubhouse.
Ah.
And then you connect it. Like, it's the Lunny Road. It's not,
All right.
It's not like you have to pass an entrance exam, really. Like, all you have to do is travel and tell stories. It's not hard.
Excellent.
And that's the thing. It's like, seriously, our patron isn't particularly picky.
Participate.
Have you heard of Saban?
Saban?
Yeah.
Saban rocks.
Huh? I didn't know that was his
Have you
surname.
heard of Savan?
Yeah.
Everybody's heard of Saban.
Yeah, I was talking about Saban just the other day.
Yeah. And so essentially you would all know without being told
Safe.
that the Great Herder is the patron essentially of the Lonely Road. And
shepherd.
Saban is known as the Great Shepherd or the Great Herder or the Traveller, and that's part of why this entire sort of network exists, because the pilgrimage or the travel or the journey or whatever you want to call it is something in which you should never stop believing.
Are Bashir and a Saban a bit? They nut heads over turf.
Oh, well, one's kind of like the ultimate life, not life because that's a different one, but the I guess the king god, and
Yeah.
Bashir is like an ascended
Yeah,
gamer god, and then
they're all
the one that leads you to death kind of.
that's it. They're all ascended though. So Saban was the first to ascend. Fashir was the first to die and then ascend.
Oh.
And
Well,
so
they
they
might know this.
they're sort of aligned.
Different roles.
The foil to all of them is, and part of the story was, Tanare, you would know this. Only you would know the tiny skerricks of it as sort of a wives' tale or a fable at best, Remy, and you probably didn't listen to it very hard, so you get 1 word and 10. But
Yeah.
Tanare, you would essentially know that what's rumored or what's legend to have happened was Saban rose, ordered and protected, and that whole pantheon all had this very well-meaning creation, construction, development sort of bent. And then you had Fashir, whose job it is to order the dead. And because it's all of this order, Vandalia has an overabundance of order in their pantheon. And that in itself upsets the balance. You would know, Tanare, that definitely upsets the balance. And the reason that it upsets the balance is the rumoured existence of the entity known as Zanuck. Zanuck is sort of a catch-all word. You would all know Zanuck as, it's basically the devil, the boogeyman, the bad guy. But the problem is, because you've got all of these, and again, this is something really more in your theory, Tanare, rather than your practice, all of this construction good, for want of a better term, not necessarily good, but ordering and herding and construction deities, there's this huge gulf where that balance was way towards construction. And so all of a sudden that spark of entropy and destruction appeared, and rather than slowly developing an entire pantheon of deities, it's just one. So it's this sort of black hole single that meets the balance. And the problem with putting that much power in one entity is there's no discussion. So it's much better and more effectively wielded instantly rather than over time, which puts Lost One, which puts a lot of power and a lot of danger in that one entity. Now, it's part of your theory and part of your learning. It's part of the way you explain the balance. Part of your distemper with the shepherds, of course, is the fact that the idea of balance being to the next step and to the next journey has become less and less like that in the teachings as you've grown up into more, which hat? Is it left side or is it dark side? Is it bright side or is it dark side? And it's literally balance, not balanced choice, which leads a number of the less zealous members of the order to sort of start to very quietly mind, but to consider that there might be something amiss. So that would be all something that you would know at some level.
Cool.
Anyway, where were we? But anyway, that's Saban. Saban is obviously lends themselves towards this kind of order. A similar question eventually comes towards you, Tanare, and Formosus, about what the next step is, where you're planning to go, what you're planning to do.
Is that who?
It's Gendar that asks. Over a pint. Yeah.
Yeah.
We are going to go chase some rabbit friends, right?
Well, there was an invite, and we do have some business, but I feel like that's probably it's not an ultimate goal.
You know that
I asked very specifically using the word. What directions do you recommend?
Look, it's cliche, but follow your heart. And you can hear Gendar's voice start to sort of slur a little bit. That you've been drinking constantly while you've been talking. You know you're not supposed to be able to go anywhere else from Vandalia, right? So I'd be looking down that little rabbit hole. In fact, would you mind letting me know what you find?
Why not?
Because
If we,
yeah, and you would know this as well. The idea of there being other places and other planes, that's not a thing at all. And you would have known that going through the time dilation. Like, that's within the realm of possibility. But you're all really expecting Warren Glen to be a place in Vandalia, like a little village that's always been hidden. But more and more, the more you hear, the more you're starting to go, well, wait a minute, this is, especially you, Formosus, you're like, is this a way back? But you're also like, nah, it can't be. That's not even a thing anymore.
nope.
Yeah.
And I suppose the same question eventually gets vaulted at you, Sasha. I mean, Alfia. How come Alfia and Sasha are interchangeable in my brain today?
Who knows?
They're the same person.
Sasha's
Just take off the
Sasha's
mask.
equally badass.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen her at LARP, you'll know.
So what's so they so Tenor asks. Well, actually, it's not Tenor that asks. It's Impel. So, what are you going to do with
Are we talking short term or long term?
I don't know. You're telling the story.
Well, long term, I'm planning on trying to start a town.
Ah,
Yeah. And once I've got that set up, try to move all of the orphans out of the streets and into that town, give them a secure place to stay. And once that's sorted, open up a tea shop.
Retirement plan.
Yeah. Short term, though.
that's a lot. Literally, just
yeah.
stop saying.
Hey, gotta aim big.
But again, you're talking to a barbarian. They're like, so you're not going to just fight shit?
I mean, that's the short term.
Ah, good.
Yeah, short term. Well, it turns out I'm really bloody good at punching stuff, so I'm gonna stick with that for a while. Run around with the rest of the Red Hands and see where the world takes us.
Good at punching, are you? Do you want to fight? And again, it's not aggressive. It's like, really? You good at punching? I'll fight you.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, I can go for a tussle.
All right. And then you see Tenor just shake her head and it's like, oh. And Donna goes,
Just
and
cracks knuckles.
Don goes, "Hey, everyone, listen up. I'm gonna fight the ghost." And most people hear it. It was nice and loud. And again, it was like, even if you hear it, it's not like, I'm gonna fight the ghost. It's like, hey, we're gonna have a fight. And that's where we'll take it up next time.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh baby, we are going to.
I'm gonna get barbarian.
Oh no, you got this. You got this. You've got your hype team. We have our reputation is set in stone. We're gonna obliterate this fool.
Yep, I've already burnt one key. Well, I've probably gotten that key point back by now, because if this has been an hour, I've gotten that key point back.
Yep. Now,
Yeah.
before they start fighting, Tenor goes, "Look, if you're gonna bet money, just take it outside." And you can see that she's really saying that to Ailbo. So it's not really going to be big bets. Like they bet copper here. It's not about the money. It's about the game.
Oh, no. This is about reputation. This is about her street cred. This is about making sure that she doesn't underperform when I just sung the shit out of her praises. We're going to have to make sure she is buffed and ready to go.
Buffed and buff.
All right, so that's where we'll start up next time, and then essentially that'll be the pre-bedtime entertainment, and they've sort of said, I would say in so much, but it'll be said more clearly that you'll be able to bunk with them for the night, understanding that you're heading on,
holes.
and then next time we will find our way onward into the forest. Alrighty.
I'm excited. Should be good fun. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got a
I've
list
got
of the
more
people.
features now as well, so...
Yeah, I just thought it might be a good fun to start with another fist fight. I mean, it always seems to be Elfia getting in a fight. It's almost like you're a pit fighter.
Yeah,
it's
funny
almost
that.
Although,
Almost like Formosa's singing.
Remy, would you roll me an envy check, please?
Oh, I've already failed it. Well and
I mean,
truly.
I'm happy to call over to Remy and just go, hey, Remy, you want to make this one a 2-on-2?
Tag team?
Tag team run?
Yeah, definitely. Is there enough of them?
Full on
Is there six? Is there 6 of them?
No. I'd say it's going to be a 2-on-2. We're going to do tag team WWE rules.
All right.
Nice.
So one person in the ring at a time. You can tag out. So it has to be a hand tag. If you can make the hand tag, you can change.
Okay.
And
I'm a monk, I can make the hand tag.
Yeah.
Oh no, he wasn't saying that for you. He was saying that for Remy.
Yeah.
Does the dagger count?
no, it's no weapons.
What about sideline casting of Bless?
Depends what's noticed.
Yeah, okay.
We will see about
Sneaky
that.
bless.
Sneaky, sneaky.
Don't worry, I've got Crusher, I can punch them over into the corner where Remy's standing.
Excellent. All
Hey,
right,
we're
so
gonna be
that's next
going-
week.
Yep.
Yeah, if we're gonna be going WWE on this one.
So
Yeah, you've always got to get them over into the corner with your buddy.
Yeah,
No,
and
no,
the other guy
Do a
just
couple of combo moves.
We'll
So-
be the commentator, so I'll have to start practicing my Texan
have to
accent.
get some fold-up chairs.
when you step
Do
up,
the
Remy.
mic effect.
Yeah.
When you step up, Remy,
Yep.
you look down at the teeny tiny barbarian, and you say, "Oh, I wouldn't mind in on that." And straight away, up by your ear, you hear a, "I'm still good for that as well." And you turn around, and the halfling rogue that you all saw at the very beginning of the evening is standing right there on a chair. So they're up ear height with you. They jump down and stand next to
Cute.
Don Venner and goes, "Small and big it is." Big,
All right.
big grin. And that's what it'll be. So it'll be Denor and Don Venner. So a halfling rogue and a gnome barbarian, both retired. So,
So they're probably a bit higher
so
level.
higher level.
Retired is a bit of a problem.
Yeah, against.
Depends. They might have taken an arrow to the knee.
That's
yeah,
it.
that's true.
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Versus Remy
Look,
and L.
considering
Yeah.
that means marriage and one of them's a barbarian. No, that's just more experience.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. We literally have the power of God and anime on our side, so
Yeah.
we're fine.
But I'm you're a rogue as well, aren't you, Remy?
No, not at all.
No, you're not, are you?
No, he's a dashing rogue.
You just
I'm
act,
a,
you just
I'm
act,
a- I
He
can-
just acts like one.
you just
I
act like a
can
rogue.
masquerade as a rogue and a ranger, but no.
Okay.
I didn't get into ranger or rogue school.
Okay.
I read some Wikipedia entries.
All right.
Yeah, like a instructable.
Yeah.
or WikiHow.
Yeah.
It's just, you know,
Awesome. All right, well, that'll give me something to plan, and I'd say I'd plan it between now and then, but you all know it's going to be a fortnight from now that I plan it when I get home from work. Because that's how D&D gets planned.
Yeah.
that's how you play it.
Although,
Wait, D&D gets planned?
no. Although today's
Only by a meeting time.
that's it.
True. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Today's one, I did write the factions and organisations, so I had at least the Lonely Road set up before I sat down this afternoon, and I knew that Delrich Arlen was known as the leader of the Lonely Road, and I think like 3 or 4 days ago I had the idea for the disembodied voice. All the rest of the names and their one-shot interests came this afternoon, but they are now canon. They will now have to exist forever, so it gets harder every time.
And they got to sing our praises. Well, if we don't mess up the fight.
Hey, you did well on this. Like, I like this place.
Yeah, me too. It's the kind of place that if I was going to be part of a D&D faction, it would have to be like super chill to be like, yeah, we collect some
Literally open up tea
information.
shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, this is the place that Sasha, would join.
That's it.
Guys,
We collect some information, we drink some ale, we tell some stories, we go for a walk every now and then. Some more of us have got a tea shop 2 towns over. We just like send someone down there every couple of weeks.
Yeah. Look, the next feat I'm taking is chef.
That's it. And
I get
Like-
to boost my wisdom with it.
And that's sort of how the Lonely Road has built up as well. It's like you've got all of these people who travel as pilgrimage, and then they get a little bit old and they find somewhere comfortable, and then they just make a tavern. They make a place
Settle down.
where people come.
Yeah, just like old retired merchants and
Yeah.
adventurers and stuff. Like, half the people in here have probably saved the world 5 times over by now.
Yeah, but they don't even talk about that part of that story anymore. They just share
Because
tales.
everyone already knows that story. It's boring to them. So they're just like, no, let's make up something else.
Yeah, like
Like, we
80%
already know how I killed that dragon. Like, we've told that one.
and like 80% of them are probably famous heroes you've heard of, but they're just using a different name, and they're so old
Yeah.
you don't recognise them anymore.
the stories we want to hear are like,
Yeah.
do you know that there's this really cool way to get a pillow that has swan feathers? And we're like, what? That would be so comfy. I can't even remember the last time I had a pillow, let alone a pillow with feathers.
You know, I was up
Yeah.
by
We're living
South
the good
Point
life.
the other day. It was a long trip, but this cat person, what are they called?
Tabaxi?
This tabaxi showed me a recipe where you get really thin flour and you wrap it around meat. I think they called it a bumpling. And those are the kind of stories you get half the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
It's
like,
like when
oh
you
yeah,
get,
so
like-
I've been doing some. It's like I've been doing some research, and like I was trying to make a new tea brew, and like I found these 2 herbs that like normally they are very deadly, like kill you in a second deadly. Don't drink them by yourself. But then I like mix them together, and because have you seen The World? It's like I ended up mixing them together and trying a little bit, and it makes you see sound.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Then you get one of the younger ones come in and go, so, I heard about this barbarian that fought 3 dragons, and all the old ones are like,
That was me.
if you squeeze them 1 grape at a time, it takes all the bitterness out of the wine. And this is I was like, really?
One of them's got like a travel blog.
Yeah, that's it. But it's only about places within like 400 steps of where they are.
Yeah, it's like it's a travel blog, but really it's just kind of like a miscellaneous like bugs I found in my garden kind of thing.
That's it.
Look at this rock. Have you seen
know
these
what?
colours?
We've just
I would
created
follow.
10 minutes from the tavern.
I would follow that Reddit.
We've just created the Twitch of Vandalia, haven't we?
Yeah.
We really have.
It's like they just have these weird, intense, quirky interests.
Absolutely, because
With, like-
they really just don't give a
tell you
shit
what, with-
anymore.
I tell you what we've just created. We've created, like, pre-2010 YouTube vloggers.
Yeah, and there's like the like a leather crafts person who's like really involved in like trying to produce like a plant-based like alternative to leather.
Vegan leather.
Vegan leather,
Yeah, yeah.
100%.
And they're just like, just like got this experimental like tanning racks and it's like really stinky, and they've got these weird plants that are at different, like they're all labeled with different like notes on them to like. I'd follow that blog. Maybe not that one, but the rock one.
On
And the
that,
bug one.
knowing that you guys have spent the evening here, can I get you all to give me one more insight check before we log off?
Oh, I'm rolling so well today. It's so
You
nice
are.
to see.
24! I actually had a good roll.
Wow.
I have had no good rolls tonight other than this
Oh.
one.
Mine was like on the 17 and then
Oh.
it just flipped over. And I was like, oh, what? Oh.
And Remy,
14 here.
14. Okay, so Elfir and Formosus. You all sort of get the gist of this by the end of the night, but Elfir and Formosus, you get specific points of information out of the evening's discussion. So much like a rogue would be able to read Thieves' Cant, over the course of the evening, you've done well enough with your performances and your discussions in terms of balance of roles that you start to recognise that all of this general chatter, they've asked about you a lot. They've told you a couple of things about them. They've shared their recipes and just this general hubbub of just really interesting storytelling. A couple of little things come out. They haven't received news from South Point in over 6 weeks, which is a bit long. There's been none of the usual travellers that go backwards and forwards from Mercel Cross or Bolton Hole have come back. In fact, haven't been many travellers from anywhere. And they're worried about it. As you're walking out for the 2-on-2 battle, Gendor's sort of wallowing out there as well at this stage, with two tankards, and just leans in, and you're sort of all together, and just says, "Look, I didn't say it before, and I feel like someone's going to get their head punched and they might forget it, so I'll tell you all together. Look, if you're heading out, would you be so kind as to look in on Serena Anvilhorn for me? Head towards South Point. We just haven't heard from that way for so long that I think we need to check in. Enjoy the fight." And hands you two both a tankard, and then sort of turns around and goes back to get a couple more.
Are they empty?
No, they're full. So, Remy and Elfir, you've got a tankard of ale, and Gendar's gone to get the rest of you one, and we'll begin there next time.
Awesome.
I have to write those notes now.
I passed mine to Teneri.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks very much, folks. I'll let you go.
Thank
for
you,
that.
everyone.
Bye.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.